Hey everyone, welcome to the Ceres Podcast. In this episode, Mark Petrou sits down with Stephen Muscat for a proper catch-up. They start with Stephen's family, roots, and how the story of Jan's Fish Bar in Cardiff began. Then they move into what it was really like growing up in the shop and eventually taking over the reins himself. They reflect on the father-son dynamic behind the counter, then zoom out on how trade has changed, portion sizes, customer expectations, fish choices, pricing pressure, and what it takes to stay profitable today. Stephen also shares why he built the Owners and Lovers community online on Facebook. They talk honestly about awards and representation in the industry, and they finish by digging into modern challenges like COVID's legacy, delivery apps, and the future of family-run shops. This episode is brought to you by Ceres Predus number 2. If you want crispy golden perfection with every portion, this is your secret weapon. Long oil life, perfect batter adhesion every time, and seasoning from the inside out with a hint of Madagascar white pepper with absolutely no nasties. It's allergen friendly, UK made, packed for freshness and ready to transform your battered fish into something delicious and even crispier. Order now at ceres.shop. Before we get into today's episode, a quick heads up about two brand new upgrades that we've just launched on the Ceres shop, and honestly, they're already flying out. First up is the tamper-proof bag labels. If you're already doing delivery or collection, these are a total no-brainer. They seal the bags fast, they keep the heat in and the winter weather out, and it gives customers, when they get their delivery, that instant confidence that their order hasn't been touched on the journey. They look brilliant, they're seriously strong, and they're perforated so customers can quite easily get in there without ripping the bag to bits. It's an absolute no-brainer. There is a reason why the big chains are using these bags for their click and collects and their deliveries. Secondly, food pot safety seals for the curry, gravy and mushy peas and whatever else warm goes in a pot. You know the problem? Pots can pop open. How many times has a staff member turned one over on their fingers? I remember seeing that all the time. You know, in delivery or on the way home, sauces can leak. A meal can go from being cooked perfectly and prepared perfectly to what an absolute mess in seconds. These seals keep the lids locked down and tamper-proof, so when customers peel one off, they feel fresh, secure, and they're made just for them. Both products do the same thing, but in different ways. They remove tiny frustrations that can cause big disappointments. And if you can keep a customer happy, guess what? It's those little things that keep customers coming back. They're live on the Ceres shop right now. Stock is moving quickly. They've only been out a few days, but they are moving fast. And just a quick note, this Friday is Black Friday, which means keep your eyes open for the deals that are dropping Thursday/Friday. You can order it all Friday, 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. Just get your orders in, make your savings. We won't honour it before and we won't honour it after. Last year we had people messaging us days after. Get your order in. Right then, let's hand over to Mark Petrou and today's guest, Stephen Muscat.
Hey Steve, how you doing? It's really good to have you on the podcast.
I'm very good, Mark. How's yourself?
Yeah, really well. So for the listeners' benefit, we've known each other for over 20 years. We've never had a proper sit-down, chin-wag conversation, and I've resisted doing it because I knew that one day I was going to get you on the podcast. So I'm just as interested as all the listeners to find out as much about Steve Muscat as possible during the time we get together. So I'm just going to ask you to start right at the very beginning, where you were born, where you brought up, how you ended up in Cardiff, and and then I want to talk about Jan's fish and chips and your career in fish and chips. So away you go.
Yeah, well, my dad's originally from Corfu, little island off the Italian-Greek coast. I mean, my surname is Maltese, and then about 2 generations ago, they took some Maltese to Corfu.
Right.
And then that was the history of Corfu. And then because Malta was under British occupants, when my dad was over there, when he was a child, they were given ration books,
Right.
And then a lot of the Greeks joined the navy or the ships, working on ships, and a few left Corfu, and it ended up going to Cardiff and Liverpool. And a lot of the young Greek boys and women left Corfu
to start a new life.
Come to Cardiff, and it's marvellous because you have a look at most of the Greeks that are in Cardiff, they're all from Corfu.
I guess it's a similar story to like my parents and lots of other Greek families that end up in fish and chips. That their parents or their grandparents came to the UK looking for a better start, some opportunity, promises of better things. My father came to the UK before all the political troubles in Cyprus, and he didn't come to escape war. He was already over here when it all happened. So we're talking about your father Jan, who came over.
Well, my dad's real name is Batista, right? And a soldier got killed in the village, and my grandmother wanted to name my dad Jan, but because there was uproar in the village, they named him Batista.
Right.
So his true friends and his family always call him Batista, but to everyone else, he's Jan.
I guess also it's a lot easier for people to say and remember, and so it kind of sticks better as well, doesn't it? Yeah. I've been to Malta. I opened a chip shop there. The island's only like 40 miles by 20. It's tiny,
really small.
So
and there's 1 million people live on there.
Yeah, amazing place. I've never been to Corfu. So were you born in Corfu?
No, I was born in Cardiff.
You were born in Cardiff.
We were all born in Cardiff. All of us were born in Cardiff.
I've been in your company many times. You could have been a rugby player, couldn't you? Being a Welsh boy, did you play rugby at school?
No, I was more of a footballer, and I'd done a lot of karate as well.
Right.
So
you've got
strong legs.
You've got the physique of a rugby player, definitely. So your dad came over. When did he come over?
Well, early 1960s, 58. Round about that. He was only like a teenager.
Yeah.
His mother and father never came. They just travelled through Italy, France on a train type of thing.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what they were expecting when they came here. It was a weird thing, but I mean, my dad had the right to come to Britain because he was under British occupancy, and Malta was. My dad had an English passport.
Yeah, same for my dad. He was he had citizenship, even though his domicile or his history and heritage, was from another island. He still was able to class himself as British. And travel freely. I get it. So, how did he get into fish and chips?
He'd done many jobs working in like steelworks and stuff like that, and then he lived in a part of Ceres and Cardiff, and he seen a couple of shops there and seen it, and then a few others went into it, and he thought, I want to do a fish and chip shop. He had a fruit and veg shop for years, and then he wanted to open a fish and chip shop. And
I guess
that started roughly about 1968.
Yeah. I've done a bit of snooping. I looked on your website and very nice website for any of the listeners that want to have a look at it. It's really cool. 1969 is when it says you officially started Jan's, and and there's been a generational handover as your dad's got older. You must have learnt alongside your dad, so before you got into fish and chips, obviously you must have grown up in Cardiff, hung around the chip shop as a kid. You've got I know you've got 3 sons. Have you got any brothers and sisters?
I got 2 brothers and a sister.
And a sister.
But they run away from the trade.
You either love it or you don't.
My sister didn't, but my 2 brothers had shops, or they had one shop, and between them, they just ran away. They lasted a couple of years, and bush, they gone.
Yeah.
You know?
But you stuck with it. You worked with your dad. That must. I've done. Obviously, I worked with my dad for many years. It's and I'm sure a lot of.
It's not easy.
No, but at the same time,
he becomes your best friend as well.
Yeah, exactly that. That's what I was trying to tease out. Is that you must have had quite a close relationship, as you still do.
Yeah.
With your dad. So, how did you get into making the decision that fish and chips was going to be your thing? What did you want to do? You didn't want to be a fireman or an astronaut or a drummer in a rock band?
To be honest, I started at such a young age, and I knew it was going to be my career. I wasn't really into education, and I enjoyed the job as such. You know what I mean? It was great fun. I mean, it's stressful nowadays, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I started it as an 8-year-old, working a Saturday, finishing. I mean, years ago in the 70s and 80s, you were there till 1 o'clock in the morning. And my dad would cash up, and I'd be counting the pound notes. Remember the old pound notes? And counting the change, and it was fun, and I didn't know anything else. Most of my friends would be in bed. I'm working, and then when I came about 11-year-old, my dad said, "You've got to work more," and I started doing 3 nights a week. Then, I was going to work at 6 o'clock, and
after school,
and finishing at 10:30 in the night. Then my father would ask a customer, I'd have to ride a bike home, Yeah. And then as I was riding a bike home, many a times, I mean, don't forget, we didn't have street lighting in the 70s like we had all those power strikes and stuff like that. I'd be pulled over by the police. The same policeman would pull me over night after night. Get lights on your bike. Get lights on your bike. Otherwise, I'm going to arrest you. I mean, they did then those days.
Yeah.
And I struggled then with school then because I was tired getting up in the morning. I'd get home. I'd be up past 10, go in the bath, go to bed. Everyone would be in school, would be in bed by 8, 9 o'clock, and there's me still working.
Yeah.
And I couldn't catch up with the homework. I'd copy people's homework. They'd get an A plus and I'd get a D minus. You know what I mean? For the same work. I didn't know whether the teacher didn't like me or knew I was copying. But I mean, there was one teacher. His name was Alan Pierce, and he was firm. He was strict. But I struggled. Like I said, I'd get to school late every day. You had 2 or 3 strikes. You had detention. I was always in detention, not from being naughty, because I couldn't get to school.
Yeah, just from being late or falling asleep in class.
And the school I was in was very Christian orientated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then because I was late, then I was segregated, and I got quite friendly with a lot of the Jewish boys, and I talked to them a lot. But every now and then, if I missed assembly, they would tell me to go in. You imagine now, you're going into assembly. There's 800 kids on the floor, and the door squeaks, and you walk in. Then I'd be caught then. The teacher would say, "You're having lines." And you'd argue with Mr. Alan Pierce, and he'd give you lines. And his line was, "Procrastination is the thief of time, and time must not be wasted." Right. And I'd have 2,000 lines. The one time I had 8,000 lines. I'd be in the fish shop with pens in my hand doing my lines so I could get them the next day. And if I didn't do them the next day, he'd double them up. And then he'd rip them in front of you once you've done them. So I told my parents the other week about it. They said, "No, that's not true." I said, "Look, I've always hid it from you. I never told you because I didn't want you to know." And then I said, "Well, Dad, You wouldn't have believed me.
That's incredible.
And then, I mean, some of the teachers knew I was working, and I'd work the lunch hour. And my dad had a little farm, and I'd work the lunch hour, and I served some of the teachers at the lunch hour. And I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I had a lovely teacher as well. And I got to say her name, Mrs. Hendrickson. She was lovely, and she'd see me coming out of detention or see me going to work, and I'd have my head down because I was tired. She'd give me a lift home. She knew I was going to work. What are you doing later on, Steve? I'm going to work, miss. All right. But I mean, I haven't seen her since I've left school, and I mean, that lady's probably in her 70s or 80s now.
Yeah.
It's been a great time. I've really enjoyed it. I do enjoy it. Yeah. It is tough now, but we got to learn to carry on.
When did you go full time? Straight from school, from 16?
Straight from school, and my dad paid me at the time. The going rate was YTS wage, $27.50 a week.
You've got a roof over your head. Be grateful.
Yeah. But he was a good man. He was a good man, my dad. He's a really good man. He looked after us all as kids, all bought us cars and looked after us and serviced our cars. He was good. He was really good, my dad.
My dad made me lots of promises, and sadly he didn't keep them all. But the relationship that you get from working with your dad is quite special. If I had my time again, I wouldn't change a thing. I just maybe appreciate it more, because at the time he was quite tough on us. Yeah. Proud of us to other people, but never really told us very, very much.
100%. That's the typical Greek. I think.
Absolutely the typical Greek, and I'm sure plenty of people will kind of understand and appreciate that. Yeah. He's still around, but he obviously is long retired. Yeah. You didn't ever feel like changing the name from Jan's to Steve's. It's still called Jan's today. You got an amazing reputation in Cardiff, and I think I'll just tell people that when I come to watch concerts at the Principality Stadium, I always park at your shop. You always let me park round the back of yours.
Yeah.
You've got a great spot there as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's just about walking distance to the stadium, but Cardiff, they've done Cardiff up, haven't they?
Yeah, it's growing. It's one of the fastest growing cities in Europe, and the population is getting bigger and bigger. But the problem is the roads are small, and so we get a lot of congestion, and there's only like 2 or 3 main roads going into the city, so they can be busy sometimes when things are happening.
Nice architecture. I love the buildings and the houses.
Beautiful. The Marquis of Bute and all that. They spent, in the early 19th century, into the 18th, the castle they built and the museum and the city hall. It's beautiful buildings in Cardiff.
So when your dad was in the trade, he saw VAT come in. He was running his business during the Cod Wars. And he had various challenges, but in those days, it was very much a cash business, wasn't it? People didn't write checks back then. Credit cards hadn't been invented, and I guess what year did you come into the business full time?
About 1986.
Okay, so your dad would have dealt with different challenges to you. To what you're dealing with now. So you've had 40 years full time and time served before that. I think
I've done like 5 or 6 decades when you think about it.
I mean, you look remarkably well, actually. consider.
Hey, we're both good-looking Greek boys. I mean, you're no Harry Styles, but you pout well.
Well, I think fish and chips, it takes its toll on your body, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And to do what we do for 4 decades on your feet, long days, and my days aren't as long as they used to be. But
No.
But you're right. In the 80s and the 90s, society was more of a 24-hour kind of culture, and people went to the pubs more, and nowadays it seems like staying in is the new going out. But people used to go out, and they used to expect the chippy to be open at 11:30.
Yeah, of course he did. I mean, Mark, I can remember my dad, in the 70s and 80s, they were really hard times. Lights used to go up, we had strikes, there was a lot of problems. But I can remember Dad serving people, they had no money, and they'd have jitties, they'd have little bits of paper where they'd order food, and they say, Jan, I'll be back next week when I get paid.
Yeah.
And there'd be loads of little paper behind there, and he'd put maybe their name on it, and it'd be hidden behind cans of Coke. But sometimes I wondered if that affected the business, because you gave someone a jitty, right? You wouldn't see them for 2 or 3 weeks. Where they were coming every week when they had money, all of a sudden you wouldn't see them for 2 or 3 weeks, because they didn't still have the money, or they were still struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 70s and 80s, the housewife was home and she worked home. Now both people have to work. It was hard in the 70s and 80s. And like you said, VAT came in, and there was a lot of different things that went on, some of the things which is happening today.
In your words, how do you think that the whole fish and chip market has changed in the time that you've been in it? Because from my point of view, I felt that in the 80s and 90s we were being faced with a burger generation, and we used to have to go after kids to get them back into eating fish and chips. I remember sitting round the table with my dad, counting piles and piles of cash on a Sunday, and that was kind of part of the ritual of owning a fish and chip shop. And then he'd decide how much was going to the fish man, how much was going to the spud man, how much was going in his suitcase to Cyprus. We have different challenges today. What was it like for you working alongside your dad and then having to take it over?
It wasn't easy, My dad was good. My dad was really good in his job. He was a great cook. I took over in 93. I mean, that's when things were a bit tough as well. I mean, you've been in the trade as long as me. We've gone through quite a few recessions and difficult financial difficulties. 2008, the property and financial crash. We've had some difficult times. And I mean, younger generation couldn't understand it. I mean, if I tell my children stuff and they think, nah, that didn't happen. Some people that are in the industry now, the last, say, 10, 15 years, they wouldn't understand what happened in the 90s and the 80s. I mean, food went expensive. Things got tighter. We had to move with times. We had to do kids' meals. Like you said, we had to do burgers. You have to do chicken nuggets. You have to do a bit more variety, curry sauce.
I guess as different food appears on the market, you see your shop losing share and stuff. Portion sizes back then, my dad used to get like 60 pieces of fish to a slab, and each portion, he'd cut it at an angle. Bone would still be in it. Nowadays, as to what we sell as a portion and what people expect from a portion of fish and chips, they refer to them as the good old days, and I guess they were, because if you could sell like a paper-thin piece of fish that was only 3 ounces, and people would pay for that with a bone in and absolutely love it, I think maybe customers were less fussy. Do you think customers are more fussy these days? Or their expectations higher?
Their expectations are higher, I think. Yeah, I agree with you. They want value for money, but sometimes they don't care if they enjoy something. They don't mind paying extra.
Yeah.
How can 5 guys charge 20 quid for a burger, And then you go to a supermarket or you buy a steak, and a steak costs you 6 quid, right? But you go in a restaurant and steak and chips is £30.
Yeah.
A piece of cod at the same time now is £4 or £5, and you're lucky if you sell it through the shop. You've paid all that tax VAT for 12 quid maximum. The value of food has just changed so much. We're paying £4 or £5 for a coffee, and youngsters don't think nothing of it of buying a frappuccino or a latte and walking down the street with it. Things have changed.
You started in 93. When did your dad stop work?
He handed me the keys in 93.
Right.
He was already a couple of years earlier doing less and less. He was going to Greece more and just leaving me there. Like you said, making promises. Don't worry, son, I'll look after you. I'll give you some extra money. And he come back, take the money. And I said, you all right? You don't need it.
Yeah.
And you think, well, what did I work hard for? Don't worry, you'll have your money when I leave. Okay, Dad.
He'll take care of you one day.
Yeah.
Me and you actually met probably 10 years after that, maybe a little bit more. When I launched Chippy Chat, you were quite quick to jump on Chippy Chat, and you became part of the community. I remember the first time I met you face to face was at one of the summer barbecues that I hosted in Coventry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So by then you'd have been 20 years into the trade. You struck up some good friendships that I know you've maintained even to today. You've made some lifelong friends through Chippy Chat.
Honestly, do you remember Robin Maxey with his dicky bow? You know what I mean?
He retired this year.
Yeah, ill health, I chatted to him and, he hasn't been well. He had a few problems. And
what a lovely guy, though. What a nice man.
God bless him. And he chatted to me and he said, if it wasn't for his Christian belief and stuff like that carried him through the hard times.
Yeah.
But he always made me laugh. He was such a genuine guy with his dick. He always went to the ball, didn't he, with that dicky bow on. And he was a smart guy and very intelligent.
Yeah, and he used to fry in a waistcoat, didn't he? Yeah. And a straw boater. Yeah, I never went to his shop. I wished I could get round everyone's shop that I met. Yeah. When social media kind of exploded, you set up a Facebook page, which is probably how most people will actually, they'll know the Facebook page better than they know you, which is kind of why I wanted to get you on, so people could get a feel for who you were. And that was called Owners and Lovers of Fish and Chips.
That's right.
And that was really the first.
It was the first one.
The first Facebook page that absolutely exploded. There have been others since that have similar sort of numbers, but Owners and Lovers, that was all you. You're a pioneer of social media. So I won't say Chippy Chat came off the boil in terms of online community, but it changed when Ollie and Austin took over. They took a more media-based sort of magazine and information approach. They kept the forum going, but it kind of it didn't do what it did. And Owners and Lovers kind of took over from that, which I think that's a fair thing to say. I certainly don't want to throw any shade on.
I don't want to talk bad about the magazines, but because they are good friends and a lot of them are friends.
They are.
The problem is that they've always had this favoritism for big shops. The stories are always about big shops, and then when I set Owners and Lovers, it was more of getting the small shop out, giving them advice, helping them. They put a post on and someone, you'd have like 100 replies or how to help them. It was something that changed it for them. They picked up tips. They wouldn't get some of the tips from a magazine or from someone else, but they were free to write something and didn't feel like it was not an anonymous post. You actually saw their name. Yeah. Which we all wanted to do. And how many friendships have been made from that page?
Yeah.
From that Facebook page. People have met people from it, and caught up with people. Everyone says hello to me, and I'm thinking, hang on, you know what I mean?
Who are you? How do I know you?
Yeah, it's not like I'm being rude, Sometimes I say hello to so many people, I'm thinking, hang on, that's right, I know who he is now, But I didn't think it was going to explode like that, and it did.
What I did with Chippy Chat, I had some negative experiences from being the person that set it up. If somebody put a post on that was a little bit opinionated or was talking about something that might be interpreted as contentious or argumentative, did that ever come down bad on you? Because even though it wasn't your words, because I used to get phone calls all the time, oh, so-and-so said this or so-and-so said that, and as if there's anything you can do about it. Did that ever happen for you?
No, not really, not at all. I think I've always been one for freedom of speech, and people, they can have an opinion. If there was something wrong, or I don't think I ever took a post down. I might just message them and say, look, you've written this. Is this right? And I've left it. I mean, there was people who wanted to close the page down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they weren't happy. Because it grew massively.
Yeah, it did.
And I'm the one who only controls this, so I'm the one that allows the certain amount of people in. Every week, it could be 20, 30 people want to join. I got to go on their Facebook page or look them up to see if they're in part of the industry. If they're not part of the industry, they don't get on there.
Yeah.
That's the way I've done it, and that's why it's been kept control, and it's stayed as long as it has.
Yeah, it's still really active today, isn't it? It's a really useful place, and I find that the subject matter on Owners and Lovers tends to be wider. There tends to be more conversations about more different things. It's still very much a full-time part-time job for you, isn't it?
Yeah. I got to, every now and then I go up, check everything, is it okay? People are sensible today in a type of sense, isn't it? They're business people. They're going to ask a business question, and hopefully they'll get a business answer.
You've won awards for Jans in Cardiff. I know that, like I said, you've got an amazing reputation. You never been tempted to national awards or anything like that?
I'm not liked by the certain couple of people, you know what I mean? And I think that's enough said, isn't it?
Why do you think that is? Because you're a likeable fella.
Sometimes some people don't like you, do they?
I know how that feels.
Look, the awards, truthfully, it might feel like it's needed. The awards are only for members only. You know what I mean? Non-members get a chance of getting into the top 10. And it's always been a certain range manufacturer. Do you think not many British range manufacturers have gone through? Is it the right thing? I don't know. I mean, we need to get strength back into our industry.
Yeah.
Definitely. But customers need to know that there's only 8,000 chip shops left now. Yeah. They go on this media rampage of saying, there's 10,000. There's roughly about 8,000 fish shops left.
Yeah. The
governing body for the fish fryers, it's only about 800 to 1,000 members left. We haven't got the strength to push things forward. And when the competition comes, it's only those shops that are going to get through. Even though when the media says, it beat thousands of chip shops, there's no truth in that matter, is there? But I don't know. I think COVID done a lot of damage. Hospitality was badly hit, and the awards felt like it brought something back.
I think the awards do a really good job of promoting fish and chips. The awards were created a long time ago, and there's room for manoeuvring on that. But it's a very difficult subject to tackle without upsetting someone, isn't it?
Of course it is, but they've got all these different types of awards, and it's where's the longevity award? People have been in the shop 30, 40, 50 years. People have actually given their lifetime to the trade, like myself and like you. They've been a massive part of people's community, but it doesn't seem there's an award for that. It needs change in certain places.
Yeah, I was up in Scotland at the Scottish Awards. I was pleasantly surprised. I've been 3 years running. The mood in the room and the sense of community up in Scotland that the awards up there have generated is quite something to behold. Because as times have changed, and you've been there long enough to know what the Scottish Awards does is it gives something. It makes you a champion in your own postcode. Which is something that has, you've found has benefited your business massively. The national awards, which I've entered and I've won, I'm a champion of those. I am a huge fan of the official national awards. And I take your points in the spirit in which you mean them, because that's your experience and you're entitled to your opinion. I think the national awards only serve the people that enter them. It doesn't, and it gets a message out about fish and chips. So I guess what I'm saying is you've got to be in it to win it. Maybe you don't have to be in it to win it. You have to win it to be in it, or to benefit from it. With the Scottish awards, all you got to do is turn up, and you can take something back to your town just for entering. That award system, it's kind of harnessed social media a little bit better, and it gives you something to promote to your own audience. I know they're coming into the UK, and I think there's room for them to come in without disrupting the official national awards. I think this will give something to the little guy, which I know
needs desperately.
You're a champion of the little shop, which is...
I'm the champion of the little shop. That's why I said to Owners and Lovers, I wanted smaller shops to get it. Mark, I've gone to Scotland every year for the last couple of years, and I will say the hospitality in Scotland and the food awards they have is second to nowhere in the UK. Yeah. Maybe Ireland have got them as well, but honestly...
There's a lesson to be learned, isn't there?
There is so much to be learned from the Scottish. Honestly, their hospitality, the way they treat people. You go in some of these hotels, even the takeaways, they're suited and booted. They're smartly dressed. They got waistcoats on. And you think, wow.
Yeah.
And their awards are good nights and really good. I think what the Scots do is absolutely superb.
I love a haggis. Can't stand a deep fried pizza, but it is a very different approach to how they're promoting their industry, how they're celebrating their industry, and they all seem to be in it together.
Yeah.
And whereas I think what we currently have south of the border is more elitist, and I think to make something that's a little bit more inclusive, that especially right now when everybody needs that lift, everybody needs that boost. I think the timing is actually pretty cool. So I've had a conversation recently with somebody who owns a big firm in fish and chips, and I felt as though I needed to convince them that the new awards would be a good thing. But I think they will do well.
I think there's too much paperwork in the awards system. Some of the things they ask, and it's like writing an essay. Some of the questions they've asked. Okay, I get that. But judging, why are you having judges that are actually members or part of the board judging? If someone doesn't like you, you think, I don't want Mark. I don't want Steve. Do you think someone like a TikTok influencer or people that, we've seen these ones that go into fish and chip shops, do you think maybe getting 2 or 3 of them people to go and judge? Would that make the system change? Would people be more happy thinking, Mark Petrou never came to my shop and judged me? It was Angry Ginge, for instance, but an influencer that goes round businesses and eats the food, would that make a difference?
Yeah, but in Scotland they don't claim that their judging is all that robust. They just all they're really interested in doing is creating media awareness and creating positive news, positive spin, and sharing it out. That is the spirit behind what the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards are about. They're not about creating legends, and I like the idea of creating legends. Well, I mean, what the national awards did for me, I will forever be grateful for, and it still has such an important job to do, because through those awards you can push national messages about our fight in hospitality and about VAT. We can use that platform, but at local level, making you highly recommended, or having a judging process that allows you to shout about sourcing your potatoes locally and being responsible about your where you're sourcing your fish and chips, and having those boxes to tick without being good enough to win a national award, it gives you something to take to your own customers, and that allows you to elevate yourself in front of, because we all have our own audience. The people that I'm connected to on Facebook, you're not connected to. So I have my own audience. We have a national audience, and the national awards do a great job of reaching that blanket audience that still watch the news, that still listen to the radio, that still, we need those channels too to get the main messages out. But actually having being judged and passed as being highly recommended for just because of the way I source my spuds, the way I source my fish responsibly, the fact that I've got 5 stars. These are small wins that you can celebrate to your own audience, and I think that's where these awards do so well. They fit in so well. So I think, and that's the point that I was trying to get across to my top executive chairperson when we met recently, and they're a big supporter of the big national awards, and they said to me, "Do you think I should sponsor the other awards rather than this?" I said, "No, you stay where you are. You keep supporting the big one, but let the little one come and don't be against it. I mean, there's room for it,
after they win the awards, they go on the ship, they go to Norway.
Yeah, it's great.
It's always the big shops. Get a small person in there, let him scream and let him enjoy his day. Give that guy something. Maybe if the fish brand at the time, maybe invited 2 or 3 people or put people in a raffle and say, right, would you like to enter? We'll do a live raffle, put your name in there and pull 3 shops out, really small shops. Yeah. I mean, they would shout and scream and tell people for weeks and months. It's like going on holiday. For weeks you're on a buzz, aren't you? Yeah. You imagine having a small shop going on that ship and meeting people, seeing the fishermen, seeing how the fish is cut and packed.
I always describe my win as being like a 4th division club that won the FA Cup, because I've not got a big shop, or and didn't have a big.
You're the Wrexham, aren't you? You're the Wrexham.
if you like, at the Scottish Awards, when they brought out the dinner, the meal, it wasn't fish, it was a steak. Wow. It was steak pie, and I thought this is good. Because if I were a chef and I were cooking for a room full of fish fryers, I'd be scared. I'd be scared. I'd be nervous about serving fish, and if I was and being a guest, when they bring out fish, I think, oh great, fish again. But they served a steak pie. It was banging. It was lovely, and I was lucky because there was no one sat next to me on my table. So
you had 2 portions. Yeah,
bloody right, I did. I had 2. I didn't have 2 puddings because I am trying to drop a dress size always. Yeah. But I had a second, and I thought, that's
you've got a body of a god, haven't you? So you've got to keep it in shape.
Yeah, that's just a shame the god is Buddha. And I love how they party in Scotland, because they start the evening at the bar. They don't finish the evening at the bar. They start it at the bar, then they have some awards, and then they go back to the bar, and then they eat, and then they go back to the bar. It's great.
Scotland, it's got it right, I think, in some sense, and I think the rest of the hospitality could learn something from some of their stuff that they do.
Yeah, I agree. COVID was a big change. Everything sort of shifted sideways during COVID. What did you do during COVID, and what do you think it did to the high street and fish and chip shops? What was your experience of it?
I think it changed everything, didn't it? People working from home. It was the love of the slow cooker. You know, the air fryer, it affected us, innit? The woman was home all day, so she started using a slow cooker or a rice cooker, or started using the air fryer. And trade since COVID, trade has dropped, you know, and it's never rebuilt itself. I think things were really tough. The government gave this money out, and I wondered if they gave the money out. You know, we know that Companies House gave these big money out to people with dormant companies. I think the government could have changed things. I think they could have helped businesses. We should have had grants given to us. Maybe we could have had a grant for solar panels, affected us with our utilities, you know. But the biggest thing, I think, you know, people have got to realise that hospitality is a big employer. Pubs, restaurants, takeaways. Yeah. There should have been a minister for hospitalities, and should still be one now. You know, I don't think it's all right shouting, you know, from these organisations and saying, "Oh, we'll sort it out. We'll get VAT reduction." I don't think Rachel Reeves is on the same boundary as people owning a takeaway.
I don't think she's on the same planet.
You know, and I don't think she understands a VAT at 20%. You know, it's a killer on food. It's a killer. It's a killer on building materials as well. You know, nothing's cheap. When you're adding 1/5, it's a lot of money. Yeah. But I think there should be more help from a minister for hospitality. I think we really need someone we can reflect to. Your local MP ain't going to help you. Your local MP, you might get one from your village who might help you, or your little small town, but they're not getting a vote off you. Do they really care about the small business? Your local MP? I don't think so. And that's why I think we need a Minister of Hospitality in the UK.
I think at the same time that COVID hit, something else was happening in the high street. And I'm pretty sure that I've talked about it before on a podcast. I just can't remember who. But I'm just wondering if you agree with me. I think the winter just before COVID hit was the first winter that the high street died to the internet. That winter, people didn't go into big department stores and Christmas shop. They bought off the internet more, and I think it was a tipping point that particular year. Places like British Home Stores, all the, you know, even John Lewis, the big department stores where you used to go and get into the Christmas spirit and just wander around and look at, you know, actually physically pick something up, look at it, decide if you're going to buy it as a gift. But all of that kind of ended. People started buying more and more and more from Amazon online. And then when COVID hit, that became the default, the go-to. That's how people started buying everything. So I think the tipping point happened just before COVID, and then when lockdown ended, we went back to the high streets. We found that all these big department stores were empty. So the shopping centres, the big stores, they couldn't afford the rents anymore. They'd pulled out, and so many empty shops, and I don't think the high street truly recovered after that. So if you had a chip shop that was in a pedestrianised area or a shopping area, and you either shut for a period of time and then reopened, or you even stayed open, the high street pretty much crumbled around you as people changed their habits, their spending habits, to going online, and I think Ceres have been quite, with their online shop, have been quite cute in how you can buy all their products from suppliers, but you can also buy them direct as well. I think I think that's quite telling in itself, and he probably won't appreciate me saying it on his podcast, but I thought it was very smart.
I just wish sometimes Stelios could get some of his stuff in our local cash and carry. So you could see it there. it's
if you moan loud enough, he'll do it just to get rid of you.
I've had some of his products, and I gotta say, some of them are truly amazing. Truly amazing.
Yeah,
he's put so much effort into growing that business.
Yeah,
and he's taken it to a high level.
Yeah,
he'll
probably edit. He'll probably edit all of that out.
Oh, he loved this, won't he? He'll find it hard walking through the door, isn't he? But did people have control of the cards when COVID came along? Because they were buying stuff online, sometimes buying stuff they didn't want. It felt like Christmas for some people because they were opening the door back and forth to their front door, picking up presents and thinking, I'm opening this up. And it changed, like you said, online shopping changed. We had to start using Just Eat, Uber Eats, Deliveroo to try and build, because our footfall fell.
Yeah, and that affects margin too. I mean, you can put your prices up, but when your raw materials are going up and you need to put your prices up to combat that, it's then hard to put even more on it to cover the aggregators costs as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's hard to get 30% more on something that you're trying to make a profit on. Yeah. So you all of a sudden your profit is being eaten away because you can think, I can't put 30% on that, and are people going to buy it? But sometimes it's shocking what some people pay for something. You know what I mean? And you stumble and think, oh, yeah, okay, they paid it, but it's the extra fees that some of these companies put on, like delivery charge,
service
charge, low fee for not spending enough, and all of a sudden they've paid like £5 to £7 more just on those fees.
Yeah. Before
the food's come,
and then they get a refund because they complain that their ice cream's cold. I
had an order the other week. It was £30 order, and the woman claimed for the full amount back, and said she only had a bread roll. What? And I don't think customers understand how many times we have that can be. On a Sunday, that could be an hour's work where people are trying to claim food that wasn't there, and we got CCTV in the shop, and when we do the food, we actually take a picture of the food or the camera and we send them the video to prove it.
Yeah.
It's horrible, you shouldn't be doing that, but you seem to have to do it.
That's one of the modern day challenges that your dad didn't have.
No.
Yeah. Fish prices, oil prices, spud prices, energy prices. You are, and always have been, as long as I've known you, one of the most positive people when it comes to fish and chips. You've always got a positive message and a positive outlook about how about getting through this and I've never known fish prices to be the way they are, and we're not at the top of the mountain yet. We know prices are gonna go up even more. Give me something to look forward to, Steve. tell me it's gonna be all right.
Well, I think there's gonna still be another £50-60 added onto a slabber, on a box of 3 cod case, and customers don't realise how much we're spending on fish. But you got to remember, some things, we can drive along the most difficult roads, but we'll always end up in the most beautiful destination.
Yeah.
So you've just got to think of it positively, go forward. Yeah, it's a hit on the chin, and yeah, we're not making the money on it. But you've got to maybe sell different items that you can gain your profit a bit more on. Everyone's the older people still love fish and chips. Even the youngsters still like fish and chips. But we've just got to be positive and moving forward.
I knew that we were going to have this podcast today, and I thought about a few things that I would say to somebody. I've taken large fish off my menu because I don't get the margin on large fish that I do, and I've rebranded. I used to sell a mini meal, but it's not called a mini now. It's called a light bite because that kind of lands differently. Many people have got it in their head that it's going to be a tiddler, like a sprat.
Yeah.
So I now call it a light bite. It's it's not the full portion, but it's probably very similar to what my dad was selling. Because when I look at how many I get out of a slab of light bites, it's more like the portion my dad used to sell. 30 years ago.
You like the bone.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get, and I feel like I need to be a character from the Bible, and if I can make a slab feed 60 people instead of feeding 30 people, then I've only got to buy half the fish, and I'm charging now for a light bite meal what I was charging for a regular fish and chips during COVID. Just a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm at the price for my light bite. And so it's almost like with every generation, the sizing is, and the branding of it is all moved on. So my regular now is my premium. It's more like my large.
Yeah.
And I'm training my customers to accept that the smaller portion is the standard portion, and maybe I'm going to do goujons or bites or something and bring that in, because I get even more of those to a slab.
We do a lot of bites, and they're popular because some people, it's not they don't want to pay for a regular or a larger fish. They just want something lighter or easier on the pocket.
Yeah,
I think people have always had this set amount when they have lunch.
Yeah.
They buy lunch and they work it out on 1 hour's pay.
Yeah, a lot of people have only got like a £5 or a £10 for lunch. And
tenner on the pocket.
Yeah, and we're competing with supermarkets and meal deals, aren't we?
Yeah, the biggest problem, I think, is not portion control. There should be a standard size portion in saying, right, it's 14 ounces of chips and it's a 7-ounce cod.
Well, I think that's been done this year. I think
it's gonna have something where it's getting a bit more controlled. From one fish shop to the other. We would call it a regular cod, but in another fish shop, it's called a large cod, or it could be a mini cod. Yeah. I mean, you see some fish shops that are selling 12, 14-ounce fish. You know what I mean? I mean, a burger's only 4 ounces.
Yeah. They can't be around next year. Shops like that, they can't survive, surely.
Cod sales have dropped. Seafish have said cod sales have dropped. Haddock has dropped a little bit, but the bigger gainers are what the youngsters are enjoying. They eat a lot of salmon, prawns, scampi, tuna, and the biggest fish gain is pollock, actually.
Yeah, or hake. Hake's a beautiful fish.
A lot of fish fingers now are pollock.
Yeah.
And I think it just needs. We need to move forward and control things a bit better. And I think if a customer could let us take 1 or 2 ounces off the fish and lower the prices, maybe there would be more gap or a bit more profit.
Charge right to still be there, to still be here next year. I said recently that we can't control the price of fish that we're paying, but we can control the size of the portion that we're selling, and we can control the amount of smiles we give and the service we give. So we need to add as much value in to that as possible as well. Make sure we're giving outstanding service. Make sure that our packaging and everything adds value to what we're doing. Make sure that we're diligent and careful with our knives and our wastage and our yields, and work with the price that we have to pay. And that's the only way to get through it. But there is a path, there is a way through, and to add things to our menu that don't add cost to what we're doing. So if adding something to your menu adds another member of staff, then you have to think long and hard about whether or not you do that. But if you can add something to your menu that makes your raw material go further, and it makes your margins better and your menu more attractive, then that's worth doing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think 100%. I think what you've said is spot on. it's challenging, isn't it? You know, and I just think people need to support the high street and their community a little bit more. You know, get back out there.
It's what sets us apart from the others, isn't it? The fact that we do know our customers by name. We know their names. We know, we have relationships with our customers.
This working from home didn't help our industry. You know, a lot of chip shops now don't open in the lunch hours because it's not the thriving lunchtime trade there like it used to. If you've got a couple of staff, you can't afford to have them there. You know, so it was easier to open up at tea time and have a bit of a rush then.
Yeah. Have you adjusted your opening times and your hours and?
Yeah.
So you're making sure that when you're open, you're making money.
Yeah, I try my best. You know, I mean, I don't open Tuesday and Wednesday lunch hours no more. I tend to open at 4 in the afternoon rather than when it was 5.
Yeah.
And I finish by 10 p.m, where before it would be at 10 or 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
10 p.m.'s late enough. I mean, when utilities come around, you had to find ways of saving on the gas and electric, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and it's changed. I mean, Saturday lunch hours, I don't open until 1:30 because there's not the people on the high street like it was, you know?
Absolutely. And that's adapting to what's changing with the other shops in your community with them. What's your plans going forward? How long have you got left as a fish fryer? What are you? Is there anyone that you think would take on your legacy?
No, my boys ain't going to do it.
You've got 3 lads, haven't you? And
3 lads.
And I know that you're really proud of them boys because they're all doing amazing things.
They're really, really good.
Just tell the listener what they're doing because they're all
amazing kids. You know, Alex works for Welsh Water and he just become a dad.
Brilliant.
You know,
so you're a bapu now.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing seeing they come in the fish shop every day, you know, and see me because they live across the road from the shop, and seeing the grandson all the time and him laughing and
can you see your dad in your grandson? Can you like a little expression or a little smile or something? You can just
I can see a lot of Alex in him.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's hard when they're young, but when they get a bit older, they change more, don't they? So
yeah, they do. Yeah,
I see a lot of laughter in Alex in him, you know. And then my other one, James, he's just going on electric and plumbing courses now, so he'd be hopefully Corgi registered and also doing passing all his electric exams now over the next year or so. And then my little one, Lucas, he's just had a medical and he'd be going to pilot school.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I'm happy. I want them to make their own career and make where they wanted to go, where they're happy, you know. And fish and chips are still amazing. And I wouldn't knock it. And I think it's a great job. It's hard, but I didn't want them to go through what I went through, not being there on the weekends, not being able to take them out, not being able to go to their own birthday parties, you know, because I was working and I didn't want them to go through the same things that I went through, you know, and I've got a very good bond with them. They come to see me in the fish shop every day. They pop in their cars and, Dad, can we have a chat? And, you know, and I didn't want to lose that bond.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
You know, it's hard working for your dad.
Yeah, have they all done a shift or two over the years?
Oh, yeah, they've done a shift. I mean, the younger one, Lucas, comes in on a Friday. He does a lot of cleaning and making boxes for me. James comes in now and then. He does a lot of cleaning out the back room, like the spud room. And Alex used to serve when he was a teenager. He had one of his friends working in the shop, and I said, "Will you work with Elliot?" And you know, they've all done a little bit. I mean, James takes chips out and throws chips in, so they can do it.
Yeah.
They just haven't done any cooking, you know?
Obviously, I know your dad's been a massive influence. There must be some other people in the trade that have been a big influence, some good friends that you've made along the way. Where's the best fish and chips you've ever been to? Or is that just, am I opening up a tin of worms?
The best one is the one in Bournemouth, isn't it? And you know who that is, Fred.
Yeah.
Fred is... I think the service I had in Fred's was probably... Absolutely amazing. You know, it was great fish and chips. Fred is a great ambassador, a great person in the trade.
He's a
Always
nice
got time. His son is a really nice boy.
Yeah.
I got a lot of time for Marcus French.
Yeah.
I think Marcus is a great person. I've always wanted to go down to French's and sample his fish and chips.
Well, next time you come to Isle of Ely, I'll take you to French's.
Yeah.
We'll go together.
Yeah. Marcus is a great guy.
He's a lovely bloke.
There's some great shops in Wales.
Yeah, there are.
You know, Odie and Amir Hickory, great people, great friends. David Hennigan, he is a great man. You know, we phone each other quite regularly. Chris Constantino, I phone a couple of times a week, and Dave, I phone once or twice a week. I was on the phone to him earlier before I came on here. Wales has...
It's produced a lot of winners, hasn't it, actually, Wales?
Listen, let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about Matthew Williams from Crispy Cod.
Yep.
Matthew was a big influence in Wales.
Yeah.
And he changed things in Wales. He changed things. He lifted the game, and other shops followed suit. Some of the shops in Swansea and other areas realised that he's onto something here. And then all of a sudden, Wales was looked at. It started moving places.
Yeah, but even before Matthew, you had Finnegan's, you had Allports.
Yeah,
you've had you've had ship decks since Matthew. Yeah, and Ryan started with Matthew at Crispy Cod. Look at Zohab as well. He's a great fish fryer as well. There's Wales has produced a lot of some really good fish and chips, hasn't it?
Yes. Yes,
and Jan's, of course. Let's not forget. Jan's.
I try my best. I try my best. Listen, you can blow your trumpet. Longevity. If you've had longevity in any industry, not just fish and chips, you must be doing something right.
Yeah. You can't stick around in this game if if the books don't balance.
Like I said, Wales have really changed. And it moved forward, and it went in the right direction.
How long are you going to keep running Jan's? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to?
I'll stay for quite a few more years. I will stay at it for a bit longer. I just want my boy to get his pilot's license, and then we can see where we're at. Then it's not cheap getting him his pilot's license, so get him through that, and then we can decide where we go from there.
I, for one, am relieved because if Harry Styles comes to Cardiff again, it'll be nice to know that I can come down and park at yours. Do you know, I wasn't expecting to enjoy Harry Styles. I thought I was just going to be like a taxi driver, but there was one spare ticket, so I had to go in, and I thought he was delicious. He was great.
Don't tell the wife, okay?
It was a really good gig. That was the last time I was up yours. Was for
yeah,
it was really good. Any parting words? Because I think we've given people a flavour of who Steve is.
I think we just got to think positive. I think we got to all start thinking that we're turning this corner. Like you said, the price of fish is extortionate. We've had problems with potatoes. 2 years ago, I was paying £25 a sack. How could you make money on a bag of chips, By the time you put it through the rumbler and this, that and the other. I've signed, for the last 2 years, we've never done it before. I've done a contract. I never done it before.
Yeah.
But I think we've got to think positively that hopefully this budget doesn't screw us over too much.
Yeah.
I think we've had a lot of bad governments. It's not just Labour. We've had a lot of bad governments for quite a few years, but they're not on the reality of the normal people on the street. I think under 21 shouldn't be paying tax. They should. They're starting their life. Give them something to start off. Yeah. I think old age pensions. Why are they taxed on their pensions? And
I think over 54s shouldn't pay tax.
Yeah. Some old age pensioners have still got part-time jobs to keep themselves going. Yeah. Why should they pay a tax at 20 odd percent. Well, why aren't they just charging them 10%? They're putting something back into it.
Yeah.
I just want people to get back out there, back in the community, realising that these small businesses are supporting your community. They're supporting your kids' rugby team, your kids' football team. We put our names on your shirts for your children. Give us something back. Forget about these big organisations. Get behind your small business. Help them. We got families to feed. We got bills to pay, just like anyone else. We'd love to lower our prices, but we're trying to make a living as well. So positivity, I think, is the way forward. Changing a few things here and there, and I think we are going to.
We'll get there, won't we? We will get there.
Yeah, get there.
Well, Steve, that makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you. I really enjoyed the chat.
Thanks, Mark.
I think people know you a bit better now. I, for one, I can't wait to be in your company. Are you coming up to Isle of Ely next year?
Yeah, I try to come up every year. I didn't stay this year long because I was booked to go to Scotland in the afternoon, and I left early, and I didn't stay long, but hopefully this year I'll stay a bit longer. You know what I mean?
You had a little sleep, didn't you, in the middle of someone's talk?
Fall asleep. You know what? I don't think people realise, because I work the Saturday and I get home and it's like 11, 12 o'clock. I have to leave Cardiff at like 3 or 4 in the morning to get there for a 9 o'clock start. So what I do, I drive up to Chris's fish shop, Andy's Fish Bar.
Yeah.
Meet him, because it's either two ways. You either go down the M4, M25, or you go up to the Midlands and then drop down. Well, it's easier for me to go up to the Midlands, meet Chris, and then we go down together. But by the time I get there, I haven't slept for 24 hours, and I'm like falling.
So, you know, I live about 2 miles from.
Yeah.
Next time, come and stay at mine.
Oh, thank you.
My house is big enough. I've got spare bedrooms. We don't have to top and tail.
Yeah, no, that's not. No, I got a bed in the van, mate. I'll sleep on your drive in the van.
Yeah. Come up, and Chris can come up too. And we won't get the ouzo out or anything like that. But next time for Chippy Chat, come up. Come up early, and then you can have a sleep at mine, grab a shower, whatever, and then. Thank
you very much for the offer.
Make it work. You're very welcome.
Be
lovely to see you, mate. Thank you very much.
Oh, Mark, thank you very much. 2 legends here. Hopefully, you're the best legend.
Well, no, I'll let you have that honour. You're the guest. I'm just. I just enjoy speaking to people that have made a real difference to the industry, and you really have. What you did with Owners and Lovers. And you gave a safe space for ordinary chip shops to talk, and I think I speak on behalf of everyone that's benefited from that by saying thank you.
Thank you,
and thank you for coming and sharing.
And thank you for being a good friend. And I think people don't realise how far back you've gone with Chippy Chat, and it was the start of us changing things in our industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that we've all tried, haven't we? We've all tried to do a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. I'll see you. I'll see you at the next do.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Mark.
Cheers, pal.
That's it for today's episode with Mark and Steve. I think it was a story of grit, graft, and what it really means to build a life in the fish and chip trade. We'd love to hear your take, so come and tell us what you think on the Ceres Podcast page. And don't forget, grab our free calculators to get tighter numbers. Check out the Ceres blog for weekly insights on cost control, loyalty, energy, and the news about fish and chips and hospitality. And if you want to tighten up delivery and takeaway standards, pick up our new tamper-proof bag labels or our food pot safety seals on the Ceres shop. They're designed to stop leaks, lock in heat, and give customers total confidence. Thank you for listening. Keep your pans hot, your margins sharp, and we'll see you next time on the Ceres Podcast.